We'll be talking with you as the second half progresses. You are leading 13-7.
You are a hard-driving interview man. I got to tell you, that journalistic instinct is strong. Here's the kickoff to start the second half. It'll go in at the 6-yard line. And boy, oh boy, wrapped up right at the 20. And that's all they'll have for the Elk River Elks to start this half.
Anoka coming out on the opening kickoff to set the tempo, laying the leather on the Elk River Elks, giving them just a small reminder of what it's going to be like all day. I'm going to be on you like white on rice.
Now, Matt Jones will lead the Elk River Elks to the line. It is 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. Wideouts right and left. The turnaround option and the pitch back goes to Brian Rickard. 25-30, smack at the 31-yard line. As Bart Johnson, number 21, the safety, nailed him, and Pete Roback, number 9, the corner, also there on the play.
Here we take another look, running the option to perfection, lulls the defensive lineman into a commitment, and then just takes it. Brian Rickard picks up close to a first down, just shy as we see the chain crew.
And it'll be just that much, a few inches shy of a first down. Let's go down on the field now, and here's Jim Gilliland.
Well, the tension has subsided for a brief moment here on the sideline because their son is on the sidelines waiting for his turn with the Anoka offense. I'm speaking of Brooke Parent, the quarterback for Anoka. Al and Diane, proud parents, are here, and Brooke is the baby of 5, so this must be kind of exhilarating to see her youngest child out there. Diane, Mom always knows best. Is it a time for great anxiety when he's out there, or how do you feel?
Lots of anxiety, yeah, it is, but it's very, very exciting. He's been a blessing to us.
Well, looks like we just had a turnover there, perhaps, for the Tornadoes. Yeah, they're jubilation. Al, I wanted to know if you saw this group of kids coming. Like most parents, you probably had a lot of the boys hanging around the house. Did you know there was going to be a pretty good athletic class?
Yes, I guess it goes back to their 9th grade year. I think from that point on, they have lost 2 ball games, and that being to a very good Blaine team last year. So as I remember their sophomore year, most specifically, they outscored their opponents 287 to 35, I believe it was, and they were undefeated that year as well. So they're a great bunch of kids, and you know, they have a lot of talent, and you know, they're just good kids.
All right, Brooks back on the field, so we're going to let them go back to the stands. He's a great baseball player, too, but starting since 9th grade, also a hockey player. Some decisions to make academically and athletically in the Parent family. I got to say it, the reason the guy looks so mature is because he's been a parent all his life. Outstanding quarterback. Back up to you.
Pete Roback made that interception. I've been waiting 2 minutes to give that guy credit, and what a job the All-Stater did. 11:13 to go in the 3rd quarter. And it'll be 1st and 10 now as the Anoka Tornadoes will come to the line. Brooke Parent leads them up. Slot to the left at his own 43-yard line. Into the belly of Rudnick. Turning the corner at the 50. And brought down by 3 Elk River Elks, including Anthony Gustafson, who got him by the shoelaces, it looked like, and brought him down. There's Gustafson, number 42. The 5'11", 180 senior safety.
You get the sense that Anoka is starting to flex his muscles after that 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 2 key interceptions by Pete Roback. Has the Anoka Tornadoes in great field position.
Now with the pattern fall, it is launched on the right side, complete to Jeremy Loretz, and he's going to go in. Jeremy Loretz with his 56th reception with 10:40 to go in the 3rd period. That is a touchdown, and Anoka takes the lead again, 19-7.
Brent Herrick, straight drop back, a little fade pattern, out and up, lays the ball perfectly right where it has to be as he toasts number 25. Joey Olsen gets burned on the touchdown.
Nice little touchdown trot there for senior Jeremy Loretz, the All-State split end.
And that was all set up by the interception. The second interception by Pete Roback. And whenever you get a turnover, hey, wait a minute, Anoka's going for 2 on this one.
Well, they'll try to make up for the missed point after. And now timeout is going to be called by Elk River with 10:40 to go in the third quarter. And the score, Anoka 19 and Elk River 7. Timeout on the field in our AA championship game here at the Metrodome.
You know, you can sense that Anoka was going to go up on top for the simple reason. Whenever you have a big turnover in the other team's territory, you want to hit them quick. You want to take the wind out of their sail, and that's just what the Anoka Tornadoes has done. You know, folks, there was a sign going around, there's a tornado warning. The sirens are going off now because the Tornadoes are in full control.
10:40 to go in the third quarter. It is 19-7. Anoka with the lead, and apparently setting up to try a 2-point conversion.
That's right. It is prime time. Number 21, as you take a look at this kid.
Here on the home of primetime news, receptive Channel 9. Always appreciate the plug. All right, they'll spot the ball at the 3, and again, loading the pattern with a single setback. Parent now, Rob Terry goes in motion to a slot to the left. They'll give the ball to Rudnick, and he is right at the line and did not get in. Anoka thought he was in, but Travis Pasavage, number 84, the defensive end, slammed the door, and it's 19-7 Anoka.
Businesses everywhere are discovering the post office. For dependable service and true value, there's Priority Mail with delivery in 2 days for $2.40. To keep dollars flowing and help the bottom line, there's Express Mail with delivery guaranteed next morning for just $8.75.
AA championship, Anoka taking the lead 19-7 with 10:40 remaining in the third period. Let's go back down to Tyrone Hubbard to get his thoughts about the 2 missed extra points by the Anoka Tornadoes. Will that have any effect emotionally for the Elk River Elks?
Well, Greg, for when Anoka missed that, didn't make them 2 extra points, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference right about now. Anoka's moving the ball at will, as you can see on their last drive, and Elk River still needs to score 2 touchdowns to get ahead in this game.
But Tyrone, when you miss extra points like that, doesn't that give the other team an emotional lift? Hey, all we got to do is score 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points, and we're a winner.
Correct. With them missing that, it's got to give them a little bit more of an emotional boost.
Okay, you're still sticking by your guns and gonna hang in there with the Tornadoes, huh?
That's right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, Andy Nardine brought it back. Rod Thompson cut him down, and with 10:35 to go in the third quarter, Anoka leading Elk River 19-7. The Elk River Elks will crank up their offense. 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Andy Nordine splits out wide to the left. They'll throw the wide out on the right side. Jacob Knapp. Goose backfield behind Matt Jones, the senior. The reverse spin. And he'll send it right into the belly, but nothing there. John DeRush and Jeff Sturzel stop the play. Jason Klein getting the call.
You get nothing up the middle against Anoka. Maybe I'll tackle a quick trap play, but I question Elk River. They will move the ball very well through the air in the early part of the second period. They seem to have abandoned that game style.
Gain of 2. It is 2nd down and 8. 33,414 in the Metrodome tonight. There's the fake option pick. Around the corner comes Brian Rickard, and he is wrestled to the deck by Pete Roback, who has been all over tonight.
You take a look at number 9, Pete Roback, who has 2 interceptions to his credit. All-state defensive player. As Elk River comes again, faking the dive up the middle. Here's the pitch to number 47, Brian Rickard, and Roback comes up and wraps him up.
Now it is 3rd down and 4 at the Elk River 31-yard line. Jones rolling out, lets one go, and it is well wide of the mark for Andy Nordine. And he had Pete Roback right in his face there as well.
You know, if we get another shot at that, Pete put one to the chin. He's lucky that he didn't get called for a penalty, a blow to the head on that one.
It is 4th down and 4, and that'll bring the punting unit on now for Elk River with the ball still at the Elks' 31-yard line. Terry McLean, the coach of the Elk River Elks, said this team is a well-oiled machine, referring to Anoka. He says it's hard to spot any weaknesses in that team.
The chain is rolling now.
Shane Martin is back to punt for Elk River. Gets it away for Steve Magnuson, twisting and turning and basically not getting anywhere. They'll spot the ball at the 40-yard line, and that is where Anoka will take over with 9 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Class AA hardware on the line tonight at the Metrodome. It's Anoka 19 and Elk River 7.
9 minutes remaining in the 3rd period. Anoka over Elk River 19-7, and the crew's going to sleep.
That was Negley going home, I think, right there. We've been here since the early hours this morning. And with 8:56 to go in the 3rd quarter, it's Anoka 19, Elk River 7. We actually have the television control room in the basement here at the Metrodome, and they do a very good job. Now Anoka goes to work as Brent Parent takes over, 1st and 10 to his own 40-yard line. Up the middle to Kevin Peterson as he tried to go over the tackle, and he ran afoul of both the linebackers, Shane Martin, number 35, and Nathan Williams, number 33. Got to the 44-yard line.
You know, Elk River has to come up with a big play, whether it be by fumble recovery, a big hit. They need an emotional lift right about now because they're just about ready to be put to sleep.
2nd down and 6. Anoka with the ball on its own 44-yard line, showing blitz, nothing doing for Elk River. Turning the corner is Mike Rudnick across the 50 to the 47-yard line, and Anthony Gustafson will haul him down there as they get inside Elk River territory, and a 1st down for Anoka.
You know, each game we talked about a dominant player, a dominant running back for each team. And Mike, as we see here, Mike Rubnick is that guy for the Anoka Tornadoes.
Ball at the 48-yard line of Elk River. It is 1st and 10. Parent, straight drop, big pursuit, got it away, and it was incomplete as he got chased all the way back by Shane Martin, number 35, the junior linebacker, and Martin came blasting through.
You know, that's the kind of lift and play that this Elk River team is going to have if they stand any chance of getting back in this game. They're only down by a few points, 19-7.
Now it is 2nd and the ball at the 48-yard line. 2nd and 10. Parent, straight drop over the screen and complete. It is Rudnick through the flat to the 40, the 35, and he's popped at the 34-yard line by Anthony Gustafson, number 42 of the Elks.
Tough run back out there for this Anoka football team. Mike Rudnick, as we take a look, sets up the middle screen perfectly. They lull the defensive lineman in. Mike Rudnick comes up, boom.
Here's a National Hockey League final tonight out at Met Center. The North Stars beat the Vancouver Canucks by a score of 6-4. Hat trick for Brian Bellows and a pair of goals for Brian Prock. 1st and 10 at the 34-yard line. Penalty markers as they go around the right side of the 35. Travis Pasavage, the defensive right end, to make the stop. And with 7:18 to go in the 3rd quarter, it is 19-7 Anoka.
Let's go back down to sideline reporter Tyrone Hubbard is with a few of his cronies from Burnsville. Let's hear what they've got to say about tonight's game.
Greg, today I have with me 4 players from my football team this year. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Bill Eklot.
Mike Aldrich. Tom Domers.
Dan Shin.
Tom, why don't you tell everybody at home your feelings about what's it going to feel like being that Anoka beat us earlier in the season. How are you going to feel if Anoka comes out victorious in this game tonight?
Well, losing any game is not easy to take. Anoka's very good this year, and wish them the best. Elk River, they just can't make any mistakes. We made mistakes, and they're very good at capitalizing on those mistakes.
How about Mike? How about you? How are you going to feel if Anoka comes out victorious?
I'll be happy because to know that we got beat by the best team,
All right, back upstairs to you, Greg.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tyrone. As Tyrone Hubbard with a few of his teammates from the Burnsville High School team, who was defeated by this Anoka team to gain the final berth of the AA championship.
Now 2nd and 24 at the 48-yard line. Here comes the hand to Mike Rudnick again. And he's dropped at the 43 by Shane Martin, number 35, the linebacker.
This machine is getting on track right now. An inside underneath handoff, trap play by the offensive lineman. And you sense Anoka is about ready to put Elk River away.
Pete Roback is back in the lineup now for Anoka. Remember that he came in on a pass play late in the period. He's now split out wide to the left. Normally a cornerback. Parent drops back, looks for him, drops it on the seam and finds Jeremy Loretz at the 30-yard line. He is tripped up by Anthony Gustafson. A little smoke screen thrown there with good success.
You know, that was a smart play by Britt Parent. He wanted to go deep to Rudnick, but he thought better of it. As you see, Rudnick was covered, comes back with a secondary receiver underneath Jeremy Loretz, who picks up valuable yardage. It's a big 4th down play.
4th down and 6 with the ball at the 30-yard line. Chris Nowak, number 78, leads him up. He's the junior center. Single setback, slot to the left. The fake handoff, bootleg right. Now here goes Parent, and he got nailed right at the 30-yard line. Brad Olson, number 20, did the deed, and the ball goes over to the Elk River Elks on a big defensive play.
Absolutely, you big defensive play was right. The fake, the handoff underneath a naked bootleg as Parent tries to turn the corner, but Olson was not fooled by the fake. Comes up with a big hit, and Anoka comes up short on the 1st down. Elk River takes over. 1st and 10 on their 29-yard line.
19-7 Tornadoes. Back with more from the Metrodome and a very entertaining AA championship game. To 19, Elk River 7. With Greg Coleman, Doug McLeod at the Metrodome in the 1990 Prep Bowl AA championship game. 1st and 10 at the 29. Elk River with the ball in its own territory as Matt Jones on a high count. Blasting over the left side. And running room there for Jason Klein. Number 24, Mark Johnson on the stop along with the defensive end, number 84, Ryan Danner.
On that play, Ryan Danner probably saved the touchdown. There's no doubt about it. As we take another look, the give is to the fullback up the middle who cuts back, breaks a couple of tackles. Had Denner not been there, Elk River had a couple of blockers out in front. Could have gone all the way.
Slot to the right. Akan. Beg your pardon, it was the handoff to Brian Rickard. Going over left tackle. John DeRush, the linebacker, wasn't fooled by it. Neither was the defensive end, Brian Frost, number 35. But I was.
Brian Rickard, the workhorse for this Elk River football team. As we have an official injury timeout. Number 34, John DeRoche. Probably kind of woozy there. You can't see those eyes. That's why, you know, a lot of defensive players like to put those dark shields on their face mask because you can't tell who they're looking at, who they're keying on.
Yeah, it's not a matter of the light. People think, well, what can the light be? But if you just watch a guy's eyes, you've got it.
Along with probably being poked in the eye once or twice.
Yeah.
You want to prevent that from happening.
I can relate to that, let me tell you. 2nd and 5 at the 46-yard line. Right up the middle is Matt Jones on the quarterback sneak. Gets to the 50-yard line. And Jeff Sturtzel, the nose guard. You're going up the middle, you're going to have to do business with the nose guard. And that gentleman is number 55, Jeff Sturtzel of the Anoka Tornadoes.
Big play for Elk River Elks. 3rd down and 1, ball sitting right at midfield mark with about 4 minutes remaining in the 3rd period. If Elk River is going to get back into this football game, they've got to pick up this 1st down.
First, a 3rd down and 1 at the 50. Motion. They take it left. And again, a little bit of room is all they needed. That'll be enough for the first down. Again, the nose guard, Sturzel on the stop. And it's a 1st and 10 across the midfield line. As you take a look at DeRush, John DeRush, being worked on the Anoka bench.
You know, Brian Rickard picking up the first down. As we take a look at DeRush, we'll get an update as soon as possible and pass it on to you. We think he's okay.
Now Jones puts it in the air and really aired it out over the head of Andy Nordine. And incomplete. 2nd and 10 at the 47-yard line. Elk River coming out as one of 2 North Suburban teams in the finals. Fridley winning the Class A championship early. And you know, in that 10-team North Suburban Conference, Elk River did not get a lot of credit for going 7-1 in the league, but the Elks woke some people up when they drilled Wayzata 28-3 in the 8AA semis, and then had at St. Cloud Tech their only loss of the year, 31-17 in the section championship. Full pattern, slot to the right, and it goes to Rickard, the only running back there, and he gets a yard or two, but Jeff Olson, one of the linebackers, the junior number 31, racked him up as he came through to put it at the 47.
The Anoka defense again rising to the occasion, number 31. Jeff Olson coming up with a big play, stopping Brian Rickard. As we take another look, they try and run off tackle here, but there's too much penetration by the big defensive front of the Anoka Tornadoes. Big 3rd down play here for Elk River.
With 2:45 to go in the 3rd, 3rd and 10 at the 47-yard line. Receivers right and left. Straight drop for Jones. Over and complete to Andy Nordine at the 35-yard line. And he's taken down at the 32, and that's the first down.
Excellent route by Andy Nordine.
Mike Moore, number 28, and Mike Erkey, number 22. 2 of the D-backs got him there. Moore is safety, and Erkey at left corner.
A straight drop back. Nordine runs what we call a curl pattern. He drives the defender off and comes back to the ball. He's got to know where the first down marker is. He gets past the first down marker, drives back to the football, and picks up the first down.
At the 32 of Anoka now, it's 1st and 10 for the Elk River Elks. They give it to the left side to Jason Klein. He breaks through again across the 25-yard line and then gets popped right back again. Bart Johnson stopped him, and Ryan Danner, number 84, heaved him right back again.
What a big hit.
Oh. Now the 2:05 to go in the 3rd quarter. It is Anoka 19, Elk River 7. The last championship hardware of the day to be decided tonight as they measure, and it will be enough for a first down. Another key first down on the ground for Elk River late in the 3rd quarter.
You know, Anoka may bend a little bit, but when you get down, when they make the tackle, they make you pay. You know you've been hit by a tornado.
You can do what you can do, but here's what it will cost. Now Chris Riley, number 16, is in the game for Elk River. He is split out to the left side. Receivers left and right. Gustafson on the right side. The give goes to Klein, and they pop it at the 20. A gain of maybe a couple on the play, and again the nose guard Jeff Sturzel is in there. And they did just get across the 20-yard line to the 19.
You know, I'd like to see Elk River come back with that same formation. They've got the wide receiver split to the bottom of your screen, come out with what they call a quick slant pattern. Boy, he may be in there for 6.
Twins left, 2nd and 7 at the 19-yard line. Matt Jones taking a long time. Motion, penalty markers. Gain of a yard, maybe. Andre Lee and Jeff Sturzel were there again. Well, they'll mark it all the way up to the 16-yard line.
Probably a legal shift.
Yep, apparently that's what it was. It'll go obviously against Elk River, and so the gain will be negated. The illegal shift with 1:06 to go in the 3rd quarter. Let's go down to Jim Gilliland down on the field.
Take a look at the Elk River bench there. The man with his arms crossed is Colin Anderson, the shot putter of Olympic proportions, who had such a great career at the U of M. He's been an assistant now for 15 years with Elk River. Joined for the first time this year in the assistantship for Terry McLean by Craig Otto, the guy leading forward there with the headset on, the former Gopher tight end who took a spin in Europe playing ball and is now helping out there as one of the legendary Otto brothers. His brother Joel, of course, plays for the Calgary Flames, and he had another brother who had a great basketball career at St. Cloud. Back upstairs.
All righty, it is 2nd and 12 at the 24-yard line. Spin, delay, left goes Jones, into the air it goes, up for grabs, and it is incomplete, and that was a very dangerous play. I guess Rickard was the intended receiver.
Boy, what an ill-advised pass. After both receivers were covered, I have never seen anybody complete this pass. He goes right there. He wants to go over the middle, but he rolls to his left and tries to throw back right. Hey, that's not Joe Montana, folks. Montana and Rice are probably two of the only people in football can complete that one.
And their checks are good anywhere. Look at that swarm of purple jerseys right there.
They dodged another bullet there.
3rd and 12 at the 24. Straight back Jones on the flat and complete at the 20-yard line. As they found the open man, Shane Martin. And the coverage by Jeff Olson, number 31, and Steve Magnuson. Olson is in, spilling John DeRush at linebacker.
As we take another look at just a little toss right over the middle, a little seam route. Picks up a few yards, but brings up a very important 4th down with time running down in the 3rd period.
At the 19, it is 4th and 7. Jones, there's heavy pursuit. It's in the air, and it is incomplete at the goal line as time expires in the 3rd quarter. So, with nothing decided here and frustration at the moment for the Elk River Elks, the 3rd quarter comes to an end with a score. The Anoka Tornadoes 19 and the Elk River Elks 7. We'll be right back at the Prep Bowl.
I'll tell you why in a second as we come back, as we pick up play.
Anoka will take the ball now, 1st and 10 at its own 19-yard line, into the belly of Kevin Peterson, into the belly of the line, and he runs into linebacker Shane Martin as he crosses the 23-yard line, and the 4th quarter is underway, 19-7, Anoka leading Elk River.
You know, that's an interesting observation, but you got to look at it. You pound, and then all of a sudden you've got to have a big play. The problem that Elk River ran into, they cannot contain the defensive line of Anoka. Quarterback had pressure in his face all day. He couldn't get the ball down the field. Receivers were open, but they couldn't protect the quarterback.
On the reverse to Rudnick, Nathan Williams snuffed that one out, and they nonetheless got some yardage up to the 29-yard line. It was a gain of 5, and that's a 1st down for Anoka, coming out again in a very business-like fashion, controlling the ball early in the 4th quarter of play, leading the game 19-7.
Doug, is there time enough for this Elk River team if they come up with a big play on defense?
Well, that's the thing. That's the key. The defense is going to have to force the big play, because you sure don't see Anoka making very many mistakes, and certainly nothing in the way of game-decisive mistakes, as they go with Peterson over the line, and Scott Fagan, the defensive tackle, stopped him there. Very solid defense also working for Anoka. You have to remember that this team has a well-balanced team. This Anoka defense held a typically very sound Stillwater team to 10 first downs and 286 yards. 10.5 to go. It's 2nd and 7 for Anoka at its own 32-yard line. Again, Rudnick around the left side, and he'll get up to the 40-yard line, and that's going to be very close to a 1st down if he doesn't actually have it. Travis Pasavage, the defensive end, and the nose guard Jim Orrick, 54, with a stop on him there, and they're going to have to measure it, I think. It's very close to a 1st down, just shy of the 40-yard line.
You must be impressed with the Anoka football team.
1st down.
Very well coached, very well disciplined. Methodically just moving the ball down the field. Move the chains. That's the name of the game for Anoka right now. Don't make mistakes is number 9.
That's Pete Roback, and whenever he's in, look out. They introduced him to the world last week, as I mentioned, in maybe the first offensive play of his life, and he caught a 30-yard touchdown pass with 2 seconds left in the half. Now on 1st and 10 at the 40. Here it goes to Jeremy Lawrence, and it is broken up and incomplete. Andy Nordine had him step for step and stride for stride.
Penalty flag down on the field, holding against Anoka.
Well, they say, and the linemen believe it, that there is holding on every play, and it depends on how and when you want to call it. But penalties at this point in the game.
Well, sure, most offensive linemen hold. They hold on every play. It's just a matter of if you get caught.
That's right.
Elk River almost comes up with a big play that they need. And Andy Nordine in great position.
Now 9:53 to go. Well, if Anoka wins, this, of course, will be a very satisfying night. But maybe the most satisfying win up to tonight was in their second game of the season. That's when they beat Blaine 23-8 back on the 7th. Anoka lost only 2 games all last year, both of them to Blaine. One costing the Twin Cities. There's a fumble, and it's going to go to Elk River. Kevin Olson, the defensive right tackle, number 78. There's the big defensive play we were saying the Elk River Elks needed to engineer.
Now, along with that turnover, they've got to put the ball in the end zone. If I was the Elk River coach right now, there's no question in my mind I would go deep. Without question, as we take another look at the fumble.
Yeah, he likes that. You better believe it. Travis Basavage and the Elk River Elks with a big play. We'll be back in just a moment from the Metrodome.
Everybody knows that milk's for babies.
7 Anoka on the sidelines. Jim Gilliland with a special guest.
We've got another spectator here with a little prep bowl experience. This is Steve Rosga of Creighton Durham Hall, who was here as a 9th grader in the infamous Blaine game. You still must have vivid memories of the way that one ended, Steve.
Well, yeah, we have it on a highlight film at home, and actually we watched it yesterday for Thanksgiving, and it ends, you make the call, so that's a big one.
That referee couldn't have been faulted either way. It was that close a play. Well, if the name Rosga sounds familiar, Steve's brother Jeff, formerly a co-captain at Creighton, played with Steve Walsh, and now Steve Rosga is playing with Chris Walsh. You guys have a shot to get back here next year.
Yeah, our offense is all juniors except for 2, and if they get bigger and improve the way they should, we got a shot.
Okay, good luck to you, Steve.
Thanks a lot.
Back upstairs.
All right, Jim, with 9:16 to go. Anoka leading 19-7, but after forcing the big turnover, it is now 2nd and 6 at the Anoka 23 for the Elk River Elks. Matt Jones, number 10, single setback, slot to the right. Turning the corner, big pursuit, and that's the end of the line for Brian Rickard. It was John DeRush, number 34. He was shaken up earlier, but he's cooking along just fine right now.
Boy, I tell you, I'm back down with Tyrone Hubbard. I agree. I wonder about the play selection of the Elk River. You're down. We're in the 4th quarter, 8 minutes to go, and you come with a... I really got to question that call, Coach.
3rd and 8 at the 25-yard line now. Andy Nordine split way wide to the right. Slot to the right. Rickard the setback behind Jones. They go over right tackle and chew up another yard or 2. Andre Lee, their leading solo tackler, makes the stop for Anoka, the linebacker.
Now, are we looking, is Elk River running a ball control type of offense, or are they ahead or are they behind? I'm not sure about that.
And now Elk River will call timeout with exactly 8 minutes to go in the game. And Anoka leading by a score of 19-7 as you take a look at linebacker Andre Lee. 6'1", 207, the senior backer. Back with more from the Prep Bowl AA championship game.
It's to go. You know, I want to go back to Tyrone Hubbard, our sideline reporter. Ty, when you get a turnover like this as a player, do you tend to question the play selection of your coach when you call conservative plays like this?
Yes, Greg, I think you'd have to. You know, I don't understand why Elk River's trying to run the ball on second and third down when they're down by 14 points. You know, I'm wondering if you're going to agree with me yet on the play selection of Elk River.
I think I might be inclined to agree with you thus far, Tyrone Hubbard. Thanks a lot.
Elk River's going to go for it. A 4th and 6 on the 23-yard line, and it is tipped. It is still caught at the 15, the 14, the 13-yard line. Just barely, as Jacob Knapp, number 44, going to paw in there. Bart Johnson, 21, the safety. There he is, broken up.
You know, we take another look. This pass was batted around once, batted around twice. It comes up, makes it. See, things can happen when you put the ball in the air. If you run the ball,
stop Mo.
You stop Cole. But if you put the ball in the air, you can get a tip pass. The defender can slip down. Man, it's pay dirt time. You got to get the ball in the end zone.
1st and 10 at the 13, and the Anoka defense swarms all over Matt Jones. Andre Lee led the way again, along with Bart Johnson, the junior safety. Scott Moe, 88, who came up with that ball. I had thought for a minute it was Matt, 44. There was such a crowd down there, but as you clearly saw, it was Moe, 88.
Doug, another factor that you have to keep in mind, now the clock becomes an asset of the Anoka Tornadoes. They don't mind if Elk River continues to put the ball on the ground because that chews up valuable time.
Elk River trailing 19-7 with 7 minutes to go. 2nd and 5 on the 8-yard line. Turning the corner, and Shane Martin, the fullback, is wrapped at the line of scrimmage by Andre Lee. And the defensive end, Ryan Danner, might have got a yard on the play. They will give him the yard to the 7-yard line. 3rd and 4. Still, the numbers that count are 19 for Anoka, 7 for Elk River. Anoka has missed, for whatever it may be worth, 1 point after kick and 1 two-point conversion attempt in the game, but still leads, at the moment rather comfortably anyway, by 12 points. 6:21 to go. 3rd and 4 at the 7. Jones with a pump fake to the end zone for Moe. Touchdown! Scott Moe. That long-armed 6'2" senior end reaches up and snatches that ball out of the air, and Matt Jones, with 6:11 to go, has pumped in a touchdown pass for Elk River.
You know, all they have to do is listen to what we say. We're calling the right plays up here. I mean, as you come out, he wants to hit him early, but there's somebody in his face. The defender jumps. He reloads, lofts the ball, puts perfect touch on the ball, let him utilize his athletic ability, goes up, and pulls it in for the TD.
Up and roll back to do there, and now Brian Herbert will kick it. And he sings that one right through. So with 6:11 to go, now it's a 6-point game, and now you talk about missed point after attempts. It's a 5-point game, rather. A missed point after attempt, a missed 2-point conversion. Now it becomes newsworthy. It's 19-14.
That's right. As we take another look, here's a play-action pass. He pumps and fakes and pulls it down. He reloads, puts perfect touch on the ball in the corner of the end zone, and Elk River is back in this football game. That's what we talked about during the early part. You've got to, in order to score against this Anoka team, you've got to put the ball in the air. We take another look, right in the corner of the end zone, touchdown. Back to you. Does Elk River do they have what it takes to come back and stop this powerful Anoka offense and take the lead here?
Yes, Greg, I think Elk River's intensity is going to be built right back up, and they're just going to be able to play with Anoka just like they did in the first quarter, and I think we have a dandy on our hands.
Okay, thanks a lot. As Elk River prepares to kick off, 6 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in the 4th period to decide who will take on the hardware AA Class Championship football.
Herbolt's kick drops at the 7-yard line. And the Anoka Tornadoes' Mike Haney scoops it up and goes to the 24. Now with 6:06 remaining, it is 1st and 10 for Anoka in its own territory. Tornadoes 13-0. Now 19-14. The most points scored against Anoka this year was 22, and that was by their old nemesis Blaine. in the Section 4 AA playoffs. Until then, 14 points that Elk River has scored now was the most that had been allowed against any team by Anoka. That was by Stillwater in the regular season. First and 10 for the Tornadoes at the 25. A hand to Mike Haney. Trying to cut the corner. And he fumbled on the play. And the ball goes to Elk River. Elk River recovers the fumble with 5:35 to go. And will get the ball first and 10 at the 30-yard line. And Haney really got popped as he turned the corner.
Whoever says emotion doesn't play a big part in sports needs to go and stick his head back into the sand. As we take a look as Haney tries to cut back inside, and he's met by a host of Elk River defenders, and big number 78, Kevin Olson, comes in and finishes him off. You see everybody pulling and yanking at the ball. Number 84, Travis the Savage, comes up with it. Now, what will the Elks do with it?
Second fumble for Anoka, the second recovery of same by Elk River. Swarming over the tackle and down to the 27-yard line. A brief gain on the play of about 2. And the Elk River Elks. Well, sir, now it's a 5-point game, and do they have a new lease on life?
Absolutely. Now, you've got two choices here, Doug. Do you play ball control offense, utilize a lot of the clock, or do you hit them quick?
That's the tough one. Now they stack it up. A power set. A hand goes up the gut to Shane Martin. And ball control is the name of the game now. Another 2 or 3 yard gainer. The nose guard, Jeff Sturzel, was there to make the stop. With 4:24 to go, Elk River trailing by 5, and the #1 team in the state, Anoka, the victim of 2 big turnovers, one of which set up the touchdown for Elk River that made it a 5-point game.
If you're Anoka, you've got to spread the... If you're Elk River, you've got to spread that Anoka defense out. They've got them jammed up there in the middle. It's going to be tough.
Nice power slot again. Again to the belly of Shane Martin. Again up the gut. Again a couple of yards on 3rd down. It is short of the 1st down, and the defensive line there, Sturzel, and the defensive left end, Brian Bross, number 35.
Doug, why put this much pressure on your offense when you've got them jammed up in tight? Now it's 4th down. There's no question what you're going to do now.
Well, certainly it's not a field goal. They trail by 5. They've got to have the touchdown. The ball is at the Anoka 22-yard line. And the biggest play of the game for both teams is coming right now with 3:21 to go. Power slot to the right. 4th and 3 at the 22. Matt Jones. Fake. And he got nailed back at the 30-yard line, but he's still going to be free. Jones is there, and a big sack by the Anoka defense. Rack him up. Brian Bross, number 35. The defensive end is the guy who finally got him, and you talk about a big, enormous, colossal defensive play.
I tell you, you can't wait till 4th down because everybody knows what's going to happen. He does a great job. He's in the grass, but he gets away. The official misses a face mask. Watch right here.
Right there.
There's a face mask call. Anoka gets away with a key break. Watch it right here. There's a hand in the face mask. Elk River, Coach Terry McLean has every right to be upset. So does quarterback Matt Jones, but it's all for naught.
Now here is Anoka. Mike Rudnick carries around the left side of the 38-yard line. Shane Martin on the stop. And now the clock ticking down to 2.5 minutes to go. And the Elk River Elks, you wouldn't blame them if they were a little dispirited at this point. They engineered 2 big turnovers. One got the touchdown, but that time on 4th down, things just fell apart.
Don't expect Christmas to strike 3 times in this football game for the Elk River Elks. Christmas came twice early in the 4th quarter, and they did take advantage of it.
Here's the handoff up the middle again. And again, they basically run a fullback play into the linebackers. And Anoka very happily controlling the football now with under 2 minutes to go in this Class AA game. 19-14. What looked like a very tenuous 5-point lead for Anoka still looks a little tenuous because we know Elk River's defense is capable of the big play, but the clock continues to run. Elk River has only one timeout remaining. 3rd and 1 at the 41-yard line for Anoka. Brooke Parent, the quarterback. On the reverse to Rudnick. A penalty marker in the backfield. Another one as Rudnick turns the corner and is driven out of bounds by Aaron Thomason at the 50-yard line. And Anthony Gustafson on the stop as well. Thought there were penalty markers on the play.
We've got 2 holding calls against Anoka. There's no doubt about it.
They were 2 separate infractions, I believe.
As the officials confer, and they agree with me.
Take your pick. One of them is going to go in the book as a holding penalty on Anoka. This could be costly with 1:23 to go. Time still on the side of the Tornadoes, of course, leading by 5. And again, the biggest statistic as you take a look here at Rudnick turning the corner is timeouts remaining, and there's only one left for Elk River. Anoka has all 3 of it.
This is the biggest play of the game for the Anoka Tornadoes without question.
Does this sound like a broken record? We've had several of these in the last few minutes. Straight drop for Parent, ducking out of trouble. Parent on the pursuit, and he gets nailed inside the out-of-bounds marker.
If you're Anoka, do you use your timeout or just...
By Matt Jones.
The clock still running with less than a minute to play. I would stop the clock here. The clock stops automatically on change of possession, but it's going to be down inside of 45 seconds. As we take a look, as Perrin tries to elude.
Mark Johnson on the punt. Dobler will let it go out of bounds at the 47-yard line. And with 36 seconds remaining in the game, the Elk River Elks will have one last chance to snatch this one out of the fire.
Folks, don't go anywhere. Don't go to the refrigerator right now, because these last 36 seconds, we've had exciting football from 9:30 this morning until whatever time it is tonight.
I don't want to think about it.
I'm not even going to look, but I tell you what, this has been high school football at its best.
Now Anoka will call timeout.
The Anoka Tornadoes against the Elk River Elks, as Anoka calls one of their 2 timeouts remaining. There's no question what Elk River has to do right now. You've got to put the ball up each and every play. You talk about Hail Mary, Hail Henry, hail anybody you want to. You've got to put the ball up in the air.
36 seconds to go. It is a 5-point lead for the Anoka Tornadoes. 19-14.
Let's go down and see what our sideline reporter Tyrone Hubbard has with 36 seconds remaining. Ty, what do you have?
Well, Greg, I'm going to have to agree with you what Elk River's game plan's got to be at this point. What I say is they got to throw out the ball, the 20-yard pass, the 40-yard pass. You know, they got to get the ball up in the air and score a touchdown really quick.
What does Anoka have to do in order to stop this football team?
Well, Anoka's got one of the best defensive backs in their backfield for defense, so they're just going to have to put the best man on the best man and see what happens, Greg.
Thanks a lot, Ty. Great observation.
Ty Hubbard of the Burnsville Braves watching this with more than passing interest from the sidelines. 36 seconds to go. Everybody standing up. The Elk River Elks come to the line, 1st and 10 at their own 42, trailing by 5. Matt Jones straight drop, launches it right. It is incomplete at the 44-yard line, and another tremendous defensive play by All-State cornerback Pete Roback.
I tell you, they're doing the right thing by putting the ball up in the air, but why send one receiver out and isolate him one-on-one on the best defensive back in the state? You put 2 or 3 receivers out in the pattern, don't lock in on him. There was no question, everybody knew where Matt Jones was going.
Now,
Brian Rickard.
31 seconds to go. 2nd and 10. Elk River at its own 42-yard line. Matt Jones with a high count. Straight drop. Patterned ball. It's on its way to Nordine. It is almost intercepted and incomplete as Bart Johnson, number 21, just got a paw on the football with 24 seconds to go.
Boy, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. We take a look as Matt Jones goes back, 7-step drop, lets it fly, and hopes for the best. And if you take a look at the end of the play, even though the ball was deflected by the defensive back, it almost bounces into the hands. As a matter of fact, he had it. The ball popped out as he hit the ground.
And it is not over yet.
24 seconds remaining.
Oh, man. And the noise really builds. Now Nordine split to the left. It's the 3rd and 10 at the 42. Jones pumps it. It is caught. And it was Anthony Gustafson from down at the 47-yard line. John DeRush, the linebacker, stopped it. It's first down with 17 seconds to go for the Elk River Elks.
Doug, take a look at this. This almost looked like the old catch and pitch. Look at the back. Here, he looks like he has a notion to pitch it to the outside. I'd come back with that same play. We saw it in the Class A game.
Yep.
Fridley against Sartell, and it worked to perfection. This is a time where you pull everything out of your head. If you got any rabbits left, baby, you skin them.
17 seconds to go. And timeout apparently called. (19-14) Anoka. Remember that primetime news will follow next with Rod Graham's Heather Hart, Joe Dandry, our meteorologist, and Perry Williams, who I'm sure is sweating out the end of this one with everybody else back at the station. A reminder, the North Stars with a big win tonight, 6-4 over the Canucks. Hat trick for Brian Bellows. Now, we go to the wire. No timeouts remaining for Elk River. It is Anoka 19, Elk River 14. We go to the last extremity at the Metrodome in the Class AA championship game. 17 seconds to go. Elk River with the ball. 1st and 10 at the 47. Matt Jones fires. It is intercepted by Pete Roback at the 35-yard line. Roback to the 45-50 before he's brought down by the quarterback Jones. 7 seconds to go. Pete Roback, the All-State corner, has been a one-man wrecking crew in this 4th quarter.
He has played a tremendous game, Pete Roback. Doug, if you take a look at the replay, Elk River was planning to go with the catch and pitch. There was no question about it. You see number 47? He comes out of the field, Rickhart. He was throwing for the catch. He was going for the catch and pitch. There was no question in my mind that's what they were going for. You can't fault this Elk River football team. They fought their hearts out. You got to give credit to Anoka. They came to play, but so did the Elks of Elk River.
Man, oh man, and that interception by Pete Roback was his 3rd of the game. That sets a new Prep Bowl record. Now, with it, man, still all rocking and rolling over this big finish. You talk about a white knuckle time right to the end. It is over. The final score, the Anoka Tornadoes 19, the Elk River Elks 14, the champions of Class AA football in the state of Minnesota, as they end the season absolutely perfectly, 14-0, the Anoka Tornadoes. And our congratulations to the Tornadoes, the last undefeated AA team in the state. They came in rated number 1, and they go out the same way.
Both of these teams showing a lot of class as they meet at the middle of the field to exchange greetings and congratulations, and hey, maybe next year, guys, you played a good game. It's too bad that one of these teams had to lose this football game. What a great football game.
Wow.
Let's go back to Tyrone Hubbard and get his final thoughts on this AA Championship Series from the Metrodome.
Greg, I think you have to give a lot of credit to the Elk River football team here, coming in as big underdogs for this game and stuck with the Anoka football team all the way to the end. I just want to give a lot of credit to both these teams for making it here, and I know the emotion that Anoka's going through for me winning it last year, and I just want to congratulate them. And as far as Elk River, they have nothing to hold their head down for.
You are absolutely right, Tyrone Hubbard, and especially a special thanks to you for your assistance and your insight on what it's like from a player's perspective as you see the jubilance of the Anoka football team as they are the AA class champions 1990.
What a day of football. 5 new champions crowned today in Prep Bowl 90 at the Metrodome. Now it's the Anoka Tornadoes, the AA champions in this football game. There you have a look at Brooke Parent, the senior quarterback. And a cast of thousands on this one. So the Anoka Tornadoes will take the hardware home from the Metrodome tonight. Well, sir, we had a lot of great individual performances down on the field tonight. American Dairy Association Minnesota Dairy Promotion Council proudly presents our offensive player of the game. That is he right there, Mike Rudnick, the All-Stater, has a couple of touchdowns, his 18th and 19th of the season, and they really use him for all seasons.
Had a tremendous football game. As you see the jersey being ripped and torn, they were ripping at him all over the place.
So a great game. Mike Rudnick, our offensive player of the game. And the defensive player of the game is awarded to All-State cornerback Pete Roback, who intercepted 13 passes this year, 14 passes this year, the 14th and biggest of which was at the end of the game, his third of the game, to set a new Prep Bowl record for pass interceptions in a game.
You know, you talk about dominating offensive players in the running back position in most of these games that we've seen all day, but I have never seen a defensive player completely dominate and make his presence felt such as Roback did today.
Pete Roback, the senior corner, our defensive player of the game. He and Rudnick will each receive a plaque from the Minnesota Dairy Promotion Council, and a $100 donation will be made to the athletic departments of their respective schools. Congratulations to our offensive and defensive players of the game from the Minnesota Dairy Promotion Council. It is over at the Metrodome as the Anoka Tornadoes defeat the Elk River Elks by a score of 19-14, and Anoka, which has longed for it for so long, finally gets the hardware, the AA champions of Minnesota high school football.
What a feeling that's what it must be, Doug, for the Anoka Tornadoes to receive their championship medallion as the trophy is about to be awarded, presented to the captains.
Anoka trailed in a game only once this season. That was 7-6 to Stillwater in the first quarter of the semifinals, and that didn't last very long. A determined, well-balanced football team, and that's a pretty good outfit, too, let me tell you. The Elk River Elks will finish their season at 12-2.
They have nothing to hang their heads about.
They sure created some big plays. especially defensive plays when they needed it. Now the Elk River players, or the Anoka players rather, have got one of their big banners. They're going to run that out in the middle of the field.
Presenting the championship trophy to Anoka High School.
There it is.
One of these outstanding teams, that concludes our award ceremony.
Public address announcer Dick Stanford. And the Anoka Tornadoes, who some people have said may be the best high school football team ever to play in the state of Minnesota. I don't know about that, but they sure were a terrific football team for 1990. It's the Tornadoes 19, the Elk River Elks 14, the final, the AA championship to Anoka. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more.